Hello everyone, how are you all? I'm Archana Singh. Welcome again to my channel. Our today's topic is going to be very interesting and it is very important from the exam point of view. So, our today's video lecture is about Geoffrey Chaucer, father of English poetry and morning star of Renaissance. So I am going to talk about historical and political background of Chaucerian age, Chaucer magnum opus work, Canterbury Tales, and other important works of Chaucer which were written during his French and Italian period, like Romance of the Rose, Book of Duchess, Parliament of Owls, Legend of Good Women, Troilus and Cressida, right? And in the end, we will discuss some last 10-year asked questions from Geoffrey Chaucer, which were asked in previously NET JRF exam. So, if you have not yet subscribed this channel, please do subscribe because I have started a free video lecture series for both papers for coming NET JRF exam. So, without wasting time, let's begin. Chaucer was considered the greatest Middle English poet and he was called the father of literature, English literature. He is best known for his work Canterbury Tales, and he was the first writer to be buried in what has since come to be called poet corners. Right, he was the first poet who was buried in Poets' Corner. He maintained a career in the civil services as a bureaucrat, courtier, diplomat, and member of parliament. Chaucer's father and grandfather were both London wine merchants, right? Dryden called Chaucer the father of English poetry. Spenser said Chaucer as the will of English undefiled. Arnold said, with Chaucer is born our real poetry. Laws said Chaucer found his native tongue a dialect and lived it a language. Dryden said about Chaucer's character that his is God's plenty. Okay, and Arnold said that Chaucer lacks high seriousness. So here are some views of great writers about Geoffrey Chaucer. Chaucer age is an era of transition. It was called the earliest modern age. During this period, there was a growth of nationalism among the people of England. Let me talk you what happened. During the Hundred Years' War, which was fought between 1337 to 1453, you need to remember the date 1337 to 1453. So the Hundred-Year War was fought between England and France over the succession of the French throne. Right, and it was lasted 116 years. So the 100-year wars जो था वो 116 वर्षों तक लड़ा गया किसके बीच? इंग्लैंड और फ्रांस के बीच. वो किस लिए लड़ा गया? फ्रेंच थ्रोन के लिए. राइट, एंड in the Battle of Crécy and Battle of Agincourt, England defeated France, and in this way people of England reunite and develop the spirit of nationalism. Another troublesome event of this period was Black Death, an epidemic which was forcibly came in 1348 and it was repeated many times, and in this way it swept out the 1/3 of population of England. Right, like these days we are suffering from COVID, people of 14th centuries were suffering from Black Death. Reformation movement was another great event of this period, and it was started by John Wycliffe. Earlier common men had a great belief, a strong belief in church and clergy, but after Black Death and after 100-year wars and after a peasant revolt, they realized that how much corruption was in the church. Okay, because church did not support the common man, they support feudalism, they support king and noble. Okay, so gradually common men lost their belief in church and clergy and they started reformation. John Wycliffe was called the morning star of Reformation, and his followers were called Lollard. So Lollard movement was started. Another tragic event of this period was Peasant Revolt, which was started under the leadership of Wat Tyler and John Ball and Jack Straw. There were three leaders: Wat Tyler, John Ball, and Jack Straw, and it was also called Wat Tyler Rebellion. Okay, Peasant Revolt was called Wat Tyler Rebellion. So, what is the causes of Peasant Revolt? There are various causes like socio-economic and political tension generated by Black Death and Hundred Year Wars. One of the main cause is the taxes. Okay, king and noble forces peasant to pay high taxes, which was not possible to common man and peasant to pay high taxes. So they revolt against this, and this revolt was known as peasant revolt. So after going through all these changes, we can say that Chaucerian age was the age which we can say is a dawn of new learning. Okay, England passes through medievalism and come to the beginning of modern world. That's why the Chaucer age was called the earliest modern age. Okay, now let's discuss works of Chaucer which were written during three periods. We can divide work of Chaucer in three periods. Early periods, which was known as French period, the middle period as Italian period, or last one is English period. Okay, in the first period, in the French period, Chaucer has written a great work, Romance of the Rose and the Book of Duchess. Okay, and in Italian period, Chaucer has written work House of Fame, Parliament of Flowers, Troilus and Cressida, Legend of Good Women, and in the end, in English period, Chaucer has written his magnum opus, Canterbury Tales. So now let's discuss the French period works, which was Romance of the Rose. Okay, so Romance of the Rose is originally written in French as Roman de la Rose by French poet Guillaume de Loris and Jean de Meung, and it was translated by Chaucer. And Romance of the Rose is a dream vision poem, and it talks about an effort of a young lover for his lady love, right? The next work is the Book of Duchess, and the Book of Duchess is also known as the Death of Blanche. It was written in octosyllabic couplet. Octosyllable is a line of verse with 8 syllables. So the Book of Duchess is believed to be an allegorical lament on the death of Blanche. Okay, on the death of Blanche of Lancaster. So who was Blanche? Blanche was the wife of John of Gaunt, and John of Gaunt was the patron of Chaucer. Right. Next work is House of Fame. House of Fame is also a dream allegorical poem, and it was also composed in octosyllable couplet. It was inspired by Dante Divine Comedy. Troilus and Cressida is next great work of this period, of Italian period, and it is an epic poem, and it's about a tragic story of two lovers, Troilus and Cressida. The story is set against the backdrop of war during siege of Troy. The poem is often considered the source of the phrase all good things must come to an end. Okay, so this is about how Troilus, a Trojan warrior, angered the god Cupid by making fun of love. Okay, Troilus is a Trojan warrior and he makes fun of love, and it angers god Cupid. And god Cupid punishes Troilus by making him fall in love with Cressida. Both Troilus and Cressida fall in love with each other, but later Cressida betrayed Troilus and she fell in love with another guy Diomed.
Okay.
Troilus filled with sorrow and he was killed in Trojan War, and the story mainly concerned the betrayal of Cressida. Okay. The next work in Italian period is the Parliament of Falls. Here, falls means birds. It also called Parliament of Birds. Okay, the poem is written in dream vision and it contains one of the earliest reference to the idea that Saint Valentine's Day is the special day for lovers. It is written in rhyme royal stanza. Rhyme royal stanza contains 7 lines in iambic pentameter. The plot is about the narrator who dreams that he passes through a beautiful landscape. Okay, the narrator is dreaming that he is passing through a beautiful landscape through the dark temple of Venus, and he sees over a large flock of birds who are gathered to choose their partner or their mates. Okay, a large group of birds are gathered to choose their mates. The birds have a parliamentary debate. Okay, and while there are 3 male eagle who try to seduce a female tercel eagle. Okay, the debate is full of speeches and insults, and the end none of the male eagle succeed to win the female eagle. So the debate is finally came out no solution, and the dream ends with welcoming the spring song. So it's a puzzle poem, and it's a mock epic, a debate poem. Okay, there no solution came to the end, so it's a debate, it's a puzzle, and it's a beast fable. Okay, the next great work of Italian period is The Legend of Good Women, and it is also a dream vision, and it is written in iambic pentameter or decasyllabic couplet, which he later used throughout the Canterbury Tales. Okay, in Canterbury Tales, Chaucer used decasyllabic couplet. Okay, so the Legend of Good Women prologue describe how Chaucer is reprimanded by the god of love and his queen Alceste for his work Troilus and Cressida, depicting women in a पुअर लाइट. ओके, सो क्वीन एसिस्टे जो है, जो गॉड ऑफ लव की वाइफ हैं, उन्होंने चौसर से कहा कि तुमने विमेन फिगर को पुअर लाइट में दिखाया है थ्रू द कैरेक्टर ऑफ क्रिसीड, जो कि ट्रायलस को विट्रेज करती है थ्रू द कैरेक्टर ऑफ वाइफ ऑफ बाथ लाइक प्रायरिस. सो नाउ एसिस्टे डिमांड्स अ पोएम ऑफ चौसर एक्सटॉलिंग द वर्च्यू ऑफ वुमेन एंड देयर गुड डीड्स. ओके, सो क्वीन एसिस्टे now demands Chaucer to write a poem about the virtuous women and their good deeds. So Chaucer writes Legend of Good Women. Now we come to the English period of Chaucer and discuss the magnum opus work Canterbury Tales. Canterbury Tales is a collection of 24 stories. The tales are presented as a part of a storytelling contest by a group of 29 pilgrims as they travel together from London to Canterbury to visit the shrine of St. Thomas Becket at Canterbury Cathedral. The prize for this storytelling contest is a free meal at Tabard Inn and Southwark on their return. Canterbury Tales is inspired by Boccaccio Decameron, and Canterbury Tales, we can say, is a social satire. Chaucer points an ironic and critical portrait of English society at the time, and particularly of church. Okay. Canterbury Tales have been incomplete at the end of Chaucer's life. Okay, according to prologue, Chaucer's intention was to write 4 stories from the perspective of each pilgrims. Okay, in this way there should be 120 stories because including Chaucer there are 30 pilgrims. Okay, so each pilgrims would tell 4 stories, then there should be 120 stories, but instead 120 stories there are only 24 stories. Okay, Chaucer portrays character of pilgrims which were come from different society of England. So let's discuss important characters and their tales, from which often question asked in exams. So Knight is the first pilgrim described in general prologue. Okay, and he is described in glowing terms. right? He possessed the quality that Chaucer felt a knight should have. Okay, knight have all the qualities that Chaucer felt a knight should have, like truth, honor, generousness, courtesy. He had proven himself in battles. Okay, he fought a number of battles and he win all battles. Okay, Night Tale is the first tale in Canterbury Tales. Okay, we will discuss very soon. The next pilgrim is the squire. The squire is the son of Night, right? And he was as fresh as the month of May. He also fought many battles for winning his lady love. Okay, he was so lovesick as he could not sleep at night, right? The next pilgrim is Fridays. Her name was Madame Ingletyne. She was beautiful and romantic. She had fine table manner, right? And she loves small dogs more than human beings. Okay, and she wears a brooch in which it was written that love conquers all. Okay, in Latin it was omnor vincit omnia. Okay, so you have to remember many times in exam question asks from this. So the next character is the monk. Chaucer describes the monk as liking spend his time hunting and riding fine horses. Right. The narrator has a low opinion of monk because he was obsessed with personal image and materialistic time pass. He did not believe in serving God and helping others. Right. The next pilgrim is the friar. Friar is one of the many religious figures in the Canterbury Tales. And Friar's physical appearance is that he is not dressed like a friar. He was dressed like a pope or a doctor in a luxurious way. His neck was white as lily. The friar does not care for chastity. He believed that life is all about living. He has more money than his expenses, right? And he performs many marriages of many girls in his own cost, right? The next pilgrim is the pardoner. Pardoner is as corrupt as friar, and he was highly untrustworthy character. He has yellow hair and he is beardless. The pardoner tells story and emphasize the sin of others. Okay, he uses the story to provoke the other pilgrims to buy his pardons. Okay, and he sell his pardons with money. Okay, partners accept gift with money for people to relieve their sin. Right. The next pilgrim is the summoner, partner's companion. Okay, and he was hypocrite. He was lying and dishonest, and children are afraid of his fiery red face. His face was covered with red pimples, red cherub. Okay, he loves garlic, onion, and wine. Next pilgrims is the parson. The parson is a religious figure. Okay, parson is a good character in Canterbury Tales, and he joining this voyage. He's joining this voyage because he want to help others and to bring others to salvation. Right. The next pilgrims is the clerk of Oxford. He was a very good character. He devoted to the study of philosophy. He eager to learn and teach. Right. And he prayed for the soul of those who helped him. He is polite and speak only when necessary. He speaks about morality. His tale is reply to the tale of wife of Bath. It is about the peasant wife Griselda. So you have to remember that clerk of Oxford tale is about of wife Griselda. Next pilgrim is the merchant. He was wealthy businessman. He wore rich and multicolored clothes and hat from Holland. Carries himself so well that no one realizes he is in heavily debt and newly but unhappy married. Next pilgrim is the man of law. He is referred as the lawyer or the sergeant of law. Okay, he is a smart and wealthy man, and he is good in his job and has a law degree but has been appointed as a judge. Right. There's another pilgrims is the Franklin. Chaucer says that Franklin is a calm, strong, and overall happy guy. Okay, Chaucer also proves that he thinks highly of the Franklin by saying he was a model among landed gentry. He lives to please others and has a house full of foods. Okay, the Franklin, according to Chaucer, had a overall great sense of hospitality. Right. Another pilgrims in general prologue are the five guildsmen. They are haberdasher, carpenter, weaver, dyer, and tapestry maker. Okay, they are newly rich and represents urban middle class. Okay. There's an important character in general prologue, their wife of Bath as a pilgrim. Her name is Alison. She is strong-willed and dominant woman. In general prologue, Chaucer described the wife of Bath as a deaf, gap-toothed woman and had a five husbands. Okay, she knows all the remedies of love and is an expert and preaches and practice the art of love. Okay. She was an expert in cloth making and loved to tell romantic tales and to gossip. Right. There's another pilgrims, the physician, the doctor of physics. Extremely good at his profession and astronomy, knew of every disease and where it came and cure all the disease. It's a simple diet which is healthy. He saved gold because of his love of gold. Okay, he loved gold. Doctor of physics care more for money than patients. Another pilgrim is the reeve. He was also a good carpenter, a trade which he had learned in his youth, and his name was Oswald. He could observe season weather and foretell harvest. Okay. Other pilgrims are the shipman, the yeoman, the manciple, the cook, and the miller. Right. Miller name is Robin. Now let's discuss important tales. Okay, the host Harry Bailey welcomes all the pilgrims in Tabard Inn and he suggests that each pilgrims would tell four stories. Okay, so the first tale in Canterbury Tales is The Knight's Tale. Right. Knight's Tale is about the love story of Palamon, Arcite and Emily. It's about a love triangle. Theseus, Duke of Athens, imprisons Arcite and Palamon, two knights from Thebes. Okay. And from their prison, the knights seize and fall in love with Theseus' sister-in-law, Emily. Okay. Palamon and Arcite seize Emily and they fall in love with Emily. Though the intervention of a friend, Arcite is freed, but he is banished from Athens. He returns in disguise and become a page in Emily's chamber. Okay, although Arcite was freed from prison, but he was again returned and disguised himself and become a page in Emily's chamber. Okay, Palamon escaped from prison and the two meet and fight over Emily. Theseus arranged a tournament between the two knights, Palamon and Arcite, with Emily as the prize. Okay, and Arcite wins, but he is accidentally thrown from his horse and dies. And at last, Palamon and Emily get married. Okay, so this is all about Knight's Tale. Now let's discuss another important tale. The next tale in Canterbury Tale is the story of a carpenter whose name is John, his lovely wife Alison, and the two younger men who aged to sleep with Alison. Okay, so we can see that through his tale, Miller attacked the reeve, who is by profession a carpenter. Okay, the next tale is Reeve's Tale. Reeve is offended by Miller tale because he is a carpenter and takes the Miller's tale as a personal insult. Right. So now Reeve's Tale is a story of a Miller and two Cambridge students who take revenge on Miller by raping his wife and daughter. And what is the theme? What is the moral of Reeve's Tale? The moral of Reeve's Tale is you can't hope for good if you do evil. Right. The next tale is Cook's Tale. The Cook's Tale is about a servant named Parkin who drinks and dances so much that he is called Parkin Reveler. Okay. Finally, Parkin Master decided that he would rather his apprentice leave to reveal than stay home and corrupt the other servants. Okay. So Parkin arranged to stay with a friend who loves drinking and gambling and who has a wife who is a prostitute. Okay, so now the tale breaks off and left unfinished after 58 lines. Okay, so it is an unfinished tale and it is of 58 lines. Next tale is The Man's of Law tale. A Man's of Law tale is an adaptation of a popular medieval story. Okay, it is the story describes the suffering of a Custins. Of Custins. Who was Custins? Custins is the daughter of a Christian emperor and she suffers a lot after marrying a Muslim sultan. Okay. The next tale is Wife of Bath tale. Okay, the Wife of Bath tale is about a young knight of King Arthur court who rapes a maiden. Okay, and he was punished as a death sentence, but Arthur Queen sends him on a quest to discover what women most desire. Okay, so Queen says that if he discovered that what women most desire, women की सबसे प्रबल इच्छा क्या है, तो उसे इस डेथ सेंटेंस से रिलीज कर दिया जाएगा. ओके, नेक्स्ट एन ugly woman promised the knight that she will tell him the secret if he promised to do whatever she wants for saving his life. Okay, he agrees and she tells him women want control of their husband and their own lives. Okay, सो एक ओल्ड वुमेन जो बताती है नाइट्स की कि वुमेन का जो मोस्ट डिज़ायर है वो है कि वो अपने हस्बैंड पे कंट्रोल करना चाहती है, उसकी लाइफ पे कंट्रोल करना चाहती है. ओके, द नाइट एंड ओल्ड वेमेन go together to the Arthur's queen and the old woman answer turns out to be correct. Okay, the old woman then tells the knight that he must marry her. Okay, and the answer now gonna correct and now the old woman wants to marry the knight. Okay, when the knight confesses later that he is repulsed by her appearance, she gives him a choice. She can either be ugly and faithful or beautiful and unfaithful. The knight tells her to make the choice herself. So the old woman क्या कहती है, वो कहती है कि अब नाइट को उससे शादी करनी पड़ेगी. तो नाइट एग्री हो जाता है. फिर वो कहती है कि वो या तो खूबसूरत हो सकती है और या लॉयल हो सकती है. ओके, अगर वो खूबसूरत होगी तो वो फेथफुल नहीं होगी, अगर वो फेथफुल होगी तो वो अगली होगी. ओके, तो नाइट कहता है कि ये चॉइस मैं तुम्हारे ऊपर छोड़ता हूँ. एंड इतना कहने के साथ ही वो जो ओल्ड वेमेन होती है वो एक ब्यूटीफुल लेडी में कन्वर्ट हो जाती है और वो उसको दोनों ही मिल जाता है. वो फेथफुल भी होती है और ब्यूटीफुल भी होती है. ओके, The wife of Bath tells her own personal story and how she was married to 5 husbands and talks about the women most desire that she wants to sovereign over their husband. Okay, she wants to control the lives of their husband. Right. The next tale is the Friar Tale, and Friar Tale is a satirical tale and it is a bitter attack on the profession of a summoner. Okay, Friar Tale attack the profession of summoner. Okay, next tale is Summoner Tale and it is also a satire and it is a satire on friar profession. Okay, earlier we have seen that Friar Tale is attack on summoner profession and Summoner Tale is attack on friar profession. So we can say that through their tales the friar and summoner attack on each other, like Miller and Reeves attack on each other. Okay, the next tale is Clerk Tale. The Clerk Tale is about Griselda. Griselda is a peasant who marries into aristocracy. Okay, her husband tests her loyalty in several ways, including pretending to kill her children and divorcing her. He punishes her one final time by forcing her to prepare for his wedding to a new wife. Okay, she does all this dutifully. Okay, her husband tells her that she has always been and will always be his wife. Okay, and after that, they live happily ever after. Okay. The next tale is The Merchant Tales. The Merchant Tales is one of the 24 tales in the Canterbury Tales. The story draws on a folk tale of familiar theme. Okay, it is a very familiar theme that of an old man whose young wife is unfaithful. Okay, an old man named January marries a young woman May. Okay, woman named May and man named January. So here May deceived January with his lover Damian after January suddenly goes blind. Okay, when January suddenly goes blind, May deceived her with her lover Damian. Okay, that is all about Merchant Tale. The next tale is The Squire Tale. The Squire Tale is about Canacee. Okay, Canacee is the daughter of Cambiskin, King Cambiskin, and Canacee found a ring in gift. Okay, the ring enables Canacee to understand the language of birds. Okay, Canacee rescue a dying female falcon who narrates how her partner left her for love of another bird. Okay, that's all about Squire Tale. It is about Canacee and her power to hear and understand the language of birds. The next tale is Physician's Tale. Physician's Tales is about Virginia, okay, who is a beautiful daughter of Virginius. Okay, Apis the cruel judge lusts after Virginia, and Apis pursues a child named Claudius to declare her his slave. Okay, stolen from him by Virginius, Appius declared that Virginius must hand over his daughter to Claudius. Okay, now Virginius tells his daughter Virginia that she must die rather than suffer dishonor, and she virtuously consents to her father cutting her head off. Okay. The next tale is The Pardoner's Tale. The irony of The Pardoner's Tale is that the pardoner speeches on the very sin he commits. Okay. The irony is that The Pardoner's Tale is all about how greed is the root of all evil. Okay. In The Pardoner's Tale, all men die because of their greed and selfishness. Okay. The moral of Pardoner's Tale is that greed is the root of all evil. Okay. The next tale is The Bride's Tale. Bride's Tale describes how a widow young son is killed by a Jew. Okay, who was supposedly prompted by Satan to do so. Okay, why Jews killed her son? Because he was prompted by Satan to murder the child and to stop him from singing the hymn O Alma Redemptrix to the Virgin Mary. Okay, why Satan prompt Jews to kill the child? Because the child was unstoppably singing a hymn O Alma Redemptrix to the Virgin Mary. That's why Satan prompt Jews to kill the child. Okay. The next tale is The Tale of Sartoppus. The Tale of Sartoppus and the Tale of Melibea is written by Chaucer himself. Okay. Chaucer ridicules and makes fun of his own tale, The Tale of Sartoppus. Okay, and the Tale of Sartoppus is concerned the adventure of the knight Sartoppus and his quest to win the elf queen. Okay. The next tale is The Monk Tale, and the Monk's Tale has a recurring theme of tragedy. Okay, Monk's Tale has a theme of tragedy. The monk defines tragedy as the fall of someone from high station to misery. Okay. The monk warning people to not blindly trust in prosperity because it can always be changed. Okay, the monk catalogued the fickleness of fortune through a series of abbreviated tales about such people as Lucifer, Adam, Hercules, Samson, Nero, and so on, all who were initially favored but eventually abandoned by fortune. Okay, so monk warned people to not blindly trust in prosperity because it can always change. Okay, the next very important tales of Canterbury Tales is the Nun Priest Tale. Okay, the Nun's Priest Tale is a beast fable and a mock epic. Nun Priest Tale is about a rooster, a cock named Chanticleer. Okay, one widow woman lived in a yard with her two daughters, and they had many cock and hen, and one cock, one rooster named Chanticleer. Okay. One spring morning, Chanticleer awakes from a terrible dream that a beast roaming in a yard and trying to seize him. एक स्प्रिंग मॉर्निंग चांटिक्लेयर जो है वो अचानक से उठता है. वो एक बहुत भयानक सपना देखता है कि यार्ड में एक बिस्ट आ गया है, एक जानवर आ गया है और वो जानवर ने उसे पकड़ लिया है. तो वो अपनी फेवरेट वाइफ के पास जाता है जो कि जिसका नाम है पार्टीलोट, और उसने अपने ड्रीम के बारे में उसे बताया. देन पार्टीलोट assured him that not to be afraid about dream because it is only a dream. But Chanticleer's dream came to true when a fox addressed him and claiming to be his friend. The fox praises the excellent singing voice of Chanticleer's father and urges him to sing like his father. Okay. Chanticleer became very happy after hearing the praise of his father from a fox. And Chanticleer stood on his tiptoes, stretched out his neck, closed eye, and began to sing. Okay, the fox grabbed him by the throat and ran off to the forest. Right. Now the poor woman and her daughter, hearing the cry of chicken, the Chanticleer, and ran after them. Okay, now Chanticleer managed to speak to the fox and encouraged him to turn to his pursuer and curse them, telling him that he was going to eat the cock. Now Chanticleer suggests Fox that फॉक्स को अपने परसूअर को बता देना चाहिए, जो उनका पीछा कर रहा है उनको बता देना चाहिए कि अब वो इस कॉक को खाने जा रहा है. ओके, फॉक्स ने चांटिक्लेयर की सजेशंस को मान लिया. द फॉक्स एग्रीड, बट एज ही ओपन हिज माउथ द कॉक ब्रोक फ्रॉम हिज माउथ एंड सडनली flew high up into a tree. Okay. Here the narrator gives a moral lesson about the nun-priest tale. And what is this lesson? The moral of nun-priest tale is never trust a flatterer. Okay. The next tale is the second nun's tale. And second nun's tale is written in genre of hagiography. Okay, which is an account of saint lives. Okay, what is hagiography? It is an account of saint's life. So the second nun's tale functions as the celebration of Saint Cecilia. This tale explores theme of faith, religion, and paints its heroine as the ideal of Christian women, pure and faithful. The next tale is the Manciple Tales, and Manciple Tales relates the legend of a white crow taken from the Roman poet Ovid's Metamorphoses and one of the tales in the Arabian Nights. In it, Phoebus, talking white crow, informs him that his wife is cheating on him. Okay, crow informs Phoebus that his wife cheating on him. Then Phoebus kills his wife, pulls out the crow white feathers and covers it with blackness. Okay, so it may be the cause that nowadays crows are so black. Okay, so the moral of the Manciple tale is hold your tongue. A weak tongue is worse than a weak person, a weak enemy. Okay. The next tale is the Parson's Tale, and the Parson's Tale is the last tale of 24 stories of Canterbury Tales, and the tale is a lengthy prose sermon. Okay, often question asked that which tale is in prose. So you have to remember that Parson's Tale is in prose sermon on the seven deadly sin. So what is seven deadly sin? Seven deadly sin is pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Okay, and the theme of the Parson tale is man inherently sinful. According to the Parson's tale, man is sinful and he cannot reach heaven without a fundamental understanding of sin and then consciously repentant. Okay. Now let's discuss questions which were asked in previous NET JRF exam. So the very first question asked in December 2019, one of the least noticed and acknowledged distinction of the Canterbury Tales is that, and here the options, you can check options and try to answer. Here the right answer is option number 1. Instead of revealing England's divisions, it revealed in its diversity. Okay. Next question asked in December 2019, which of the following tales in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales deals with the murder of a child by a Jew? Okay. So the options are the monk's tale, the second nun's tales, the pride's tale, or the shipman's tales. Which one will be the right? So we have already discussed that it is the pride's tale. Okay. Pride's tale is deals with the murder of a child by a Jew. Okay. Next question asked in December 2018, one of the most flexible meters is a 5-foot line. It was introduced by Chaucer in the 14th century and has since then become the commonest of meters in English poetry. And here the right answer is option number 1, iambic. We all know the right answer is iambic. Okay. The next question asked in July 2018, which of the following is true of the Canterbury Tales? And here the right answer is option number C. Chaucer the Pilgrim narrates Sir Thopas Tales and the Tales of Melibee. Okay, both the tales is by Chaucer. Okay. The next question asked in November 2017, in Canterbury's Tales, who has a red face full of sores? Which one will be the right? The summoner, the shipman, the human, or the reeve? Okay, so I have discussed that the summoner is a pilgrims whose face is full of red sores. Okay. The next question asked in November 2017, John Lydgate begins his Siege of Thebes with a prologue of 176 lines in which he imagines himself joining Chaucer's pilgrims in Canterbury, where he speaks with the host and agrees to tell the first tale on homeward journey. The story that Lydgate tells as the pilgrims depart from Canterbury is meant to be a companion piece to. Which one will be the right answer? And here the right answer is option number C, the Knight's Tale. Okay. The next question asked in January 2017, in the general prologue of the Canterbury Tales, which two characters are example of deep Christian goodness? And we all know the summoner and the pardoner are corrupt. So the parson and his brother plowman are the example of deep Christian goodness. So here the right answer is option number 3. Okay, second and third, parson and plowman. The next question asked in January 2017, the 7 deadly scenes are sought to be portrayed in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Which of the following scenes is not covered by Chaucer? The next question asked in January 2017, the 7 deadly scenes are sought to be portrayed in Chaucer Canterbury Tales. Which of the following scenes is not covered by Chaucer? Okay, so here the right answer is option number 3, jealousy and homicide is not in 7 deadly scenes. We have just discussed 7 deadly scenes. These are pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. So jealousy and homicide are not covered by Chaucer in 7 deadly scenes. So here the right answer is option number 3, jealousy and homicide. If the question asks that which of the 7 deadly scenes is covered by Chaucer in Canterbury Tales, then answer will be envy and lust. Okay. The next question asked in July 2016, in Geoffrey Chaucer Canterbury Tales, the pilgrims, like the medieval society of which they are a part, are made up of 3 social groups or estate. What are the 3 estate? And here the right answer is nobility, church, and commoners. Okay. Next question asked in December 2015. Chaucer satirized the monk because the monk, and you can check the options. Okay, and here the right answer is option number 4. Monk spends too much time in hunting and too little time in religious duty. Okay. The next question asked in June 2015. Chaucer's first work, the Book of Duchess, is a dream poem on the death of. And here the right answer is Duchess of Lancaster. Okay. Chaucer's first work, the Book of Duchess, is a dream poem on the death of Blanche, the Duchess of Lancaster. The next question asked in June 2015. What is the moral of non-priest tale? And we have discussed non-priest tale, and its moral is option number 4. Never trust a flatterer. Okay. Next question asked in June 2015. Which Canterbury pilgrims carries a brooch inscribed with the Latin words meaning love conquers all? And here the right answer is the Prioress. Okay. Next question asked in December 2013. In the prologue, Chaucer represents the wife of Bath as crude and vulgar, outspoken and boastfully licentious, and bubbling with vitality. Okay. All the 3 options are right. So 1, 1st, 2nd, and 4th. So here the right answer is option number B. Okay. The next question asked in December 2014. From among the Canterbury pilgrims, which group would qualify as the upper class? And here the right answer is the knights, the squire, and the prioress. Okay. Next question asked in December 2014. How did Chaucer pardoners make his living? Okay. So here the right answer is by selling indulgences to those who committed sin. Okay. The pardoner make his living by selling indulgences to those who committed sin. The next question asked in December 2014. How many legends of good women could Chaucer complete in his The Legend of Good Women? And here the right answer is option number D, 9. Okay. The next question asked in September 2013. The wife of Bath philosophy of Mary shows that C. Here the right answer is option number A. She is a strong person with keen awareness of her own rights. Okay. The next question asked in June 2013. When Chaucer describes the friar as a noble pillar of order, he is using, and here the right answer is option number A, irony. Okay, Chaucer using friar as a noble pillar, or here friar is a corrupt character. So here the Chaucer using irony. Okay. The next question asked in June 2013. Which tale in Canterbury Tales uses the tradition of beast fable? And we have already discussed that the non-priest tale is the tale which using the tradition of beast fable. Okay, so here the right answer is option number C. Again, the same question asked in June 2013. Question repeated. When Chaucer described the friar as a noble pillar of order, he is using, and we have discussed here the right answer is option number A, irony. The next question asked in December 2012. Okay, this is the assertion reason type question. Chaucer described Madame Engletine. This is reason. Assertion is Chaucer described Madame Engletine. She was so charitable and so pious that she would weep if that she saw a mouse caught in a trap. Okay, assertion is मैडम इंग्लेटाइन जो है, जो प्रायरस है, वो इतनी चैरिटेबल है, वो इतनी दयालु है कि वो एक माउस को भी अगर ट्रैप में देख ले तो वो रोने लगती है. एंड द रीज़न इज ऑन हर ब्रूच ऑफ गोल्ड फुल ऑफ साइन वॉज रिटन ऑमर विंसिट ओमनिया. और रीज़न क्या है कि उसके ब्रूच पे लिखा हुआ है ऑमर विंसिट ओमनिया, मीन्स लव कॉन्कर्स ऑल. ऑल्दो बोथ असर्शन एंड रीजन बोथ आर करेक्ट, बट assertion is not the correct explanation of reason. Okay, so here the right answer is option number B. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Okay. The next question asked in June 2012, one of the following Canterbury Tales is in prose. Identify. And we have already discussed that Parsons Tale is written in prose. The next question asked in June 2012, which poem by Chaucer was written on the death of Blanche, wife of John of Gaunt? And the question was asked in previous NET exam also. We have discussed the Book of Duchess. Okay. Next question is June 2012 में पूछा गया है, which of the following statement about the Canterbury Tales is true? Okay. So here the right answer is option number C. The Canterbury Tales remained unfinished at the time of its author's death. Okay. So Canterbury Tales is unfinished. Please keep in mind. The next question is, which of the following statement is not correct? And please check the options. Chaucer used the rhyme royal. Yes, it is right. Chaucer was the author of the Legend of Good Women. Yes, right. Chaucer wrote in English when the court poetry of his day was written in Anglo-Norman and Latin. Yes, it is also right. So here the incorrect options is option number D. Chaucer wrote the book named The Governor. No, Chaucer has not written any book named Governor. So right option is option number D. In December 2011, question asked, from among the Canterbury Pilgrims, which group would qualify as the upper class? And the question was repeated, and we have already discussed. The right answer is option number C, the Knight Squire and the Prioress. The next question asked in December 2011, what is that Chaucer focused on in the depiction of wife of Bath in the Canterbury Tales? And here the right answer is defiance. Okay. The next question asked in December 2010, the rhetorical pattern used by Chaucer in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales is? And here the right answer is option number A, 10-syllabic line. Okay. Next question asked in June 2010, Chaucer Parliaments of Falls is in a part of? And here the right answer is option number A, Parliament of Falls is a puzzle or debate and a beast fable. Okay. The next question asked in December 2009, who among the following was Geoffrey Chaucer contemporary? And here the right answer is option number B, John Gower. Next question asked in December 2009, which Chaucerian text parodized Dante, the Divine Comedy? And here the right answer is option number C, The House of Fame. The next question asked in June 2008, for gold in physics is cordial, therefore he loved gold in special, relates to Chaucer. And here the right answer is option number C, Doctor. Okay, the Doctor of Physics has a special love for gold. Okay. The next question asked in December 2007, to whom is Chaucer referring when he says he knew the tavern well in every town? And here the right answer is option number D, Friar. Okay. The next question is asked in June 2006, who among the following is not a pilgrim in Canterbury Tales? And here the right answer is option number C, the blacksmith. Okay. Next question is, Chaucer's The Night Tale is a high romance told in? And right answer is in heroic couplet. Okay. The next question is, the Nun Priest Tale had its origin in? And here the right answer is option number A, the French Roman de Renard. Okay. Next question is, it is decided that each pilgrims would tell in all? And right answer is option number D, 4 stories. Okay, each pilgrim would tell 4 story, 2 story in the way to the Canterbury and 2 story on the return to the Canterbury.